welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 315, lucky number V7, for Friday, August 9th, 2024. From Zenatta Consulting, I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the show.
Yes, we shall. Are you settled into your new house?
Mostly. My office is settled in. The rest of the house still a bit of a mess. But day by day, incrementally, it will get better and better. So that's always the goal.
Very good. I just knocked over a trash can. Did anybody hear that? Knocked over my desk. Just off to it. Wow.
Like an earthquake,
holy earthquakes in Las Vegas. What's going on? Okay, that's better. I'm adjusted now. I have to get adjusted before I start the show, Tyler. Got to get settled in, so to speak, right? Anyway, all right. Well, with that, we've got a big news day, so let's get right on into the show. Oh, first a word from our sponsors.
We're not lost. Well, did you use Zenatta's Google Address AutoComplete for Zoho CRM extension? What? It's an extension on the Zoho Marketplace for Zoho CRM. It allows you to update your leads, contacts, and accounts address fields using Google Maps address database. That way, you know for sure that your addresses are accurate and valid. It even shows you a map of the address's location. I don't need some widget to check my addresses. That's what my Mind Palace is for. Besides, they probably upcharge you on Google credits, so I end up paying for someone else's CRM with 1 million contacts. Actually, the extension allows you to create your own Google Maps API key, so you only pay for the credits you use. Oh yeah? Well then this Zenatta, or whatever you call them, they probably gouge you on the subscription plan. Yeah, make you pay for everyone who wants to use it. Actually, it's Zenatta, and the extension works for your whole organization for one monthly price. Or you can pay annually and save even more. Wow. How do you know so much about the Google Address AutoComplete for Zoho CRM extension? Oh, easy. I follow Zenatta Consulting on YouTube, as well as my favorite choice of podcast app. Well, okay. Let's head back to the office and make sure we get the address right this time. And you know what? I'm sorry I got so snippy with you earlier. I've always considered you to be a good... Look out! Google Address AutoComplete for Zoho CRM by Zenatta. Download on the Zoho Marketplace today.
Well, it never gets old. Ever. All right, now let's get into the news. What is new in Zoho Books for 2024? Oh, there's so much. So basically, if you don't know, every month, this should say August 24, Zoho releases a whole bunch of changes to the financial suite. These were all made basically in July. They're letting us know what happened. Sometimes they're coming soon. You've got some new updated report permissions, so you can actually kind of who can see what reports, who can't see what reports, what they can do, where they can just view them, share them, schedule them, have full access to them. Kind of nice.
One little nice thing that they did include in there is the ability to skip module access. So you could actually provide someone access to a report using data from a certain module that they can't actually go and access specifically. Very niche cases where that's needed, but it's a really tricky thing to solve for otherwise. So I really like that.
Nice. Very, very nice. You can now create custom dashboards, which I like a lot because you can never do that in Books. It's kind of just been very static. And I'm excited to play with that and set that up. I don't know when that was released, but
some of these might be coming soon because sometimes they'll do these like at the beginning of the month, and they're the updates that either just rolled out or are about to roll out to people's accounts. So some of these may be live already. Some of these will be coming soon within the next month.
They'll let us know when we get down to the bottom of the article. Anyway, hey, you can migrate to the Kenya edition in the Kenya edition. So I'm not sure what this means, but they've introduced a new migration tool that allows you to migrate your Zoho Books organization from the global to the Kenya. So they've released a new Kenya specific edition. And if you want a global edition, or you can now migrate to the Kenya edition but that's only available in the Kenya edition. So don't try to do it from the US edition. Maybe you think you could, probably not.
Probably not.
you can do that. And then you can add dispatch addresses from the India edition. And also you've got an e-invoice QR reader in the Indian edition. And in the basically the UAE edition, you've now got WIO integration. That's WIO. I think I pronounced that right? WIO.
No idea. Probably.
WIO. Sounds Australian. WIO. Anyway, you got that. And then also in the Kenya edition, big month for the Kenya edition, you got the VAT carry forward. And you've got late payment penalties in the Kenya edition, more Indian edition stuff. It goes on. It looks like advanced barcode templates are now for all the editions. Helpful? Or is that just India, do you think? What do you think? I don't know.
I think it's for all. Generally, when they don't specify with these, they will hit all of the editions. And really, these are some extra fields. So you can essentially pull in the type of unit, the price, a bit more information onto that barcode when you're printing it out.
It looks like it's kind of there. You do have the what's new timeline, which I think if I clicked on would take me to my version of Zoho Books. We're not going to do that live. But in your Zoho Books, you actually do have a little tab up at the top where you can see everything's new, when it's coming, what the changes are, what they do, and you can kind of keep tabs on all of this real time as well. All right, moving along. Also in the finance suite, just kind of a small update over in Zoho Expense. There are several updates, but the one I like here is they now have a per diem calculator for the US edition, which is kind of nice because it basically is going to allow you to go to US government guidelines as to what your per diem rates can be. Because you're only allowed to basically give out these rates as they are for the government. You know, a lot of people get upset like, oh man, they only gave me $15 a day. Well, that's the rate for this area for the whole thing. So anyway, those are the guidelines where you don't have to pay taxes. And so now they've got that in there right now. They've also done some stuff with loyalty programs and loyalty point rewards. But the big one for me was the per diem calculator. Kind of about anything else jumping out at you?
Nothing too crazy in the expense one. It is nice, though, just to integrate directly with like the US guidelines for those, so that there isn't that constant checking, right? Checking of what you're supposed to be doing, just tied directly in, and everybody's life becomes a little easier.
Yeah. Show's going pretty quickly here, so should we slow it down? I know something, by the way, notice my new shirt. We had the green ones, now I'm pink.
I'm still calling it salmon. I think that's a salmon-colored shirt. Leave a comment of what color you think Brett's shirt is if you're watching us on YouTube.
I don't know. It's very subdued, though. That's what I like about it. All right, moving on with the news. Zoho Social. So we had a long talk about this before. Zuckerberg, as soon as Twitter got purchased by Elon, Zuckerberg said, hey, man, I got Threads. Everybody, you guys are so upset. Go over to Threads. 1 billion people signed up. Nobody used it. Maybe people are using it now. I don't know. But anyway, Zoho Social now integrates with Threads. So you can now publish and connect and publish your threads from inside Zoho Social. And this is what the big update is, and there's a lot to it. So if you're using Threads, and ask another poll here, are you using Threads? Is anybody using Twitter? I don't even know.
Does anyone call it X? I don't think so. Lots of polls that we could be running here.
Oh, that's crazy. Are there any companies left in the state of California? This is what I want to know. So, I mean, Elon's pulled. What has he pulled out of? SpaceX is gone. Tesla's gone. X is gone. Then I don't know if you saw Chevron's left. Wow. Yeah.
Interesting.
Of course.
I wonder. And also another poll, how many companies will Elon sue to try to get them to come back to Twitter to run ads? I don't know if you were following that story, but he's suing them under the idea that it's a collective boycott, which is that'll be interesting to see. I think he's going to lose that. But nonetheless, will be an interesting story to follow.
You never know. Anyway, if you get some value out of Threads, you like Threads, you can now hit perfect with Zoho Social. So rock and roll. All right, over in the CRM, we're going to hit some technical updates here. So version 7 APIs are here. Good news is not deprecating any of the old APIs, so you don't have to worry about any of your old APIs. They're going to be fine. All they're really doing is just giving you some cool new features. Tyler, I know you looked at this before the show, and some of them you went, ooh, So
Yeah, a couple
what are
of
your
them do kind of stand out. I mean, if we quickly touch on each of them, so you've got Record Clone API. Again, not an API I expect people to use a ton, but if you did want to clone a record, you'd have to write more code to do that before. Exporting the audit log via API, this is actually really nice, especially for larger organizations that want to pull this into their own platform or maybe push it to Zoho Analytics and run reports and show outliers, like anytime something is deleted, right? Email it out to someone so they can verify that that was an appropriate deletion. So that's really nice because it's non-trivial to review the audit log in CRM itself. So being able to pull it somewhere else is going to be pretty great. Listing available APIs is an interesting one. Really, it's like you're just telling it to tell you everything that you could do via API. Duplicate check option is really nice. So what this is basically saying that inside of leads and contacts, you can have certain fields defined as mandatorily unique. Really common one is email. And so now you can invoke a duplicate check on that to automatically let you know if there are any duplicates based on your unique field preferences. And out of the gate, you may think, well, like if you're already writing code, making another API call to just search contacts based on that email address isn't that big of a deal. And you'd be right? That's not an insanely difficult thing to do. But let's say you had 3 different fields set up for duplicate checking. Now you're making 3 different searches, and it just gets a little unwieldy. So just being able to set it up in the field settings of like leads and contacts, and then just have the API check that, just makes life a lot easier. And if you were to change your duplicate settings later, you don't need to go in and change the function, right? Because it's just going to look at what you've actually configured in those modules. Pick list values API looks like you can essentially get info about pick list values. It doesn't look like you can add, but I'll need to verify that. Deleting tags, why not? Data enrichment API. This is actually pretty cool. So Zia's data enrichment is okay. It's getting better and better. I wouldn't say it's like a best in class option, but in order to do it in a lead, you've always had to go in and press the button, which is under the little 3 dots, and nobody's ever going to press it. I could imagine now that you could automate doing this, a lot of clients may say like, hey, why not? Right? Whenever a lead is created, if I have the website, go ahead and see if I can pull the industry, because why wouldn't I? Right? If it can
where
get
are
it.
Where are they? Do we know where they're getting this information, like employee
Idea.
count, phone number, social, all that?
No idea where they pull it from. Never gone down that rabbit hole. And then cadence. One important thing here is that this actually is going to allow you to not just get info about a cadence that a lead or contact is in, but actually enroll or unenroll records into or out of a cadence, which that is really nice, mainly for the use case of unenrollment from cadences. They allow you to do that with like field updates and entry and exit of custom views. But you might have a more specific criteria where you want to unenroll someone, where it'd be nice just to do it and not have to make some other status or field update to accomplish that. So definitely some nice ones, really just like expanding out some of those on-platform functionalities that you'll now be able to do via the API.
Yep. Fantastic. All right. Well, let's continue geeking out, Tyler, because you now have got a whole bunch of updates for Zoho Analytics for August 2024. And in skimming through these, what got you excited here?
I don't think there's anything too earth-shattering here. They did make a minor update to Data Bridge, really just allowing you to connect data to sources without specifying IP addresses. Just saves a little time when you're configuring a data bridge, nothing too crazy. You can do an extract JSON. So if you do have any raw data coming in, which a lot of the times, like if we're building a custom synced analytics, we would do this in the sync itself. Right. But if you were connecting to some tool and it just gave you the JSON values like this, you can essentially extract from it. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see I'm getting from the product details column whatever is in the region field of that JSON packet. So you're just kind of parsing data out of JSON into columns. Report formulas can now do string data type, which I had no idea this wasn't there. I guess I've just missed it, and I've always done them as table formulas, and then I use the table formula in the report. But I guess you can just do those directly in the reports now. That is nice if you have a report that's pulling from more than one data set, where a formula in the table itself wouldn't work. So I do like that. This is like concat, right? Like, you've got an account name, you've got a customer name, you want to put them together. You can just do that with a string formula. I think my favorite one is conditional formatting based on other columns. Bit of a mouthful. Again, it makes more sense if you are watching us on YouTube. We scroll down a little just to look at this image. Basically, what this is saying is you can format how one column looks based on the value in another. So let's say you had like target, actual, and difference. What you could previously do is you could say, if difference is above 0, make difference green. Now you can say, if difference is above 0, make sales green, based on the value that's inside of another column. So kind of minor, but it is nice. Like these little types of color codes and iconography can be really useful when you're going to quickly look at a report and just see like, how are we doing? So minor, but definitely useful. And I would imagine that people will end up kind of using those. A couple other little minor ones, images and dashboards now. So if you wanted to insert like a little, overdue icon in a count of overdue tasks, you can do that. Copy and pasting from tab to tab, that is pretty nice, especially when it comes to widgets, because you'd have to recreate them rather than just drag them in. And a couple little extra sharing rules of when people are sharing things to admins. Again, obviously, an admin can always see it anyways, but now it goes into a special list so they can see things that they didn't create that were shared by others. So minor, but just a user flow improvement there.
Nice. Fantastic. All right, moving on with the news. And over at Zoho Meeting, like we were saying earlier, this is something I already thought was there, but they now have breakout rooms and end-to-end encryption. So if you aren't familiar, let's say you've got a group of 20 people and you want to break into, 4 little groups of 5 in the middle of a meeting that you're doing where you're going to discuss things individually, then come back as a collective and share your thoughts and ideas, commonly how they're used. You can now do that in Zoho Meetings. It's a feature that's in almost every single meeting software that's out there. And I swear they released this 2 years ago, but I guess I was wrong. And I also thought they had end-to-end encryption, but that's there now, which is absolutely fantastic. It looks like you can turn it on or off. Yep. So that's an option that's there. Tyler, it's one of those things. We love Zoho Meeting. I just wish that, I wish they could get some of the bandwidth issues resolved, huh?
Yeah, it's one of those, it's just tough. It's AV. It's any other apps that are using audio, video, streaming through. It struggles a bit, right? Like we really very rarely see any slowness or lagginess with like CRM, desk, projects, books. They all seem to work just perfectly fine on Zoho servers. But these AV tools, I mean, we saw it a lot when the use of Zoho Meeting grew during COVID a couple of years ago now. It was brutal back then. It has gotten better. It's if you were to do like quality tests over time, you'd see growth and improvement to it. But yeah, it is one of those tools where occasionally I wish like this just punt over to AWS and you just turn the budget up and we could all save some money and stop using Zoom. Selfishly, I would just love to stop paying for Zoom, and use Zoho Meeting, because from a UI perspective, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the tool. It's just the AV quality. So I think they'll get there. I'm a believer, but whenever I see other features come out, it's like, these are cool, but there's that core functionality that just needs to be improved a bit before it's ready to go.
Rock and roll. Exactly. Let's wrap up the news with Zoho Desk is now regrouping. Basically, they're rearranging their entire setup menu. That's the bottom line. So Zoho seems to do this from time to time across the various apps. Yeah. Sometimes it's necessary, like, new features get added and they just get plugged into the menu and it starts to not make sense and it gets a little cluttered. And then they decide it's time to rearrange. It's actually a good thing. It just drives power users absolutely nuts.
I'm still not used to the books one. The books one to me is
I know.
That one needs another redo. I will say, as more and more features get added to all these core applications, as a general piece of advice when you're in the settings, use the search bar. It'll search any of the top level or sub menus within settings. So just use it. I've had to do it more and more. Whenever I'm in books now, I religiously use the search bar because I don't know where anything is anymore in the settings. So just use that. Use it, right? Like you're in CRM, you want to find kiosks, search it. Don't worry if it's under development tools or automation tools or customization tools. Like it gets overwhelming. Use that search bar. These seem like pretty minor changes. They're really just moving around where a couple of the options are, just to try to make them make a bit more sense. And I think most of the changes do actually make sense. It's like, yeah, that should go in customization. So I don't think this one's going to be really any type of issue. But use the search bar. Save yourself the time. Then you never have to worry about where the settings are. As long as you know where the search bar is, that'll get you where you need to go.
Yeah, it's good. So anyway, that's all. If you go and look at your menu and desk and you're confused, it's not you. It's Zoho. Anyway. And with that, Tyler, let's head over to our implementation of the week.
All right. So implementation this week comes from our two of our team members, Ben and Jason. So this is an automated notification to a deal owner when a Zoho signed document is completed. So essentially in this implementation, client sends out contract documents via mail merge, starting in the deals module. Some of their contracts are very simple and can just be sent out by the salesperson without making any changes to the templates. Others require a bit more input from other team members, maybe the engineering team, maybe the legal team. And so there's actually a decent amount of cases where at the end of the day, the signed document is not actually sent by the salesperson, which means they're not the owner of that document inside a Zoho sign. You might wonder why that matters. Well, it's a good habit when a salesperson has a deal get closed that they receive some type of notification about it, whether that's an email, a click message, an SMS, whatever your preferred channel is. But inside a Zoho sign, if that person is not the owner, they won't receive those notifications. So essentially what we did here is set up a little flow that will listen for completed Zoho sign documents. Then it will find the deal based on some matching information that we know is going to be in the request name. And then it can notify the appropriate deal owner that's been associated with that deal. It'll also do some other things. It can update status, set up some tasks, right? Things like that. But the big one here is really just solving that issue of like the deal owner needs to know, but they're not always going to be the person who actually sends out that contract. So sign is not always going to tell them that this document has been completed. Nothing crazy here in terms of like development time, pretty straightforward. Really, the big trick is just making sure that you're creating documents in the right way so that they can have that info in the name to go back and find the deal. That's just a big part of this here. But yeah, nothing crazy for an implementation, just kind of a simple one that helps solve that type of problem where salespeople just aren't always the ones putting that final stamp of approval on a contract and getting it out the door.
Very nice. Very nice. We use this versions of this internally quite a bit.
Yep.
It's just huge. I mean, it really is. It's so nice just from a notification, from a progression, the automation across the board, invoice creation, every single thing that can happen upon a signed document completion, you can trigger. It's just nice. I mean, the thing you want to look at is what's taking up time. What are we wasting time on? What falls through the cracks? And this is one of those implementations I think we do so many times and it just solves so much for people. They're very excited about it. Just did one the other day. Before we started doing some of these, we're talking about, someone signing, but there's also the entire automatic creation of proposals, right? Which we talk about all the time, right? Click a button, a proposal is dynamically created, then it goes into sign, and then it gets signed and it comes back in. I mean, there's so much you can do with it, and it saves so much time, and it's worth taking a look at. So anyway, nice job, Ben and Jason. All right, with that, let's head over to Club Zenatta and look at our code share of the week. It's a real bummer, Tyler.
What's that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Besides season 3 of The Bear, I think that, which is, it hurts my head. Anyway, such a good show. Went downhill. It's when you click a button in the CRM to run a custom function and boom, you get an error message. And you're like, okay, that's done. And then you get another error message. And then you get another error message. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just get all your messages at once?
That would be nice.
That would be nice. You know what? Andrew's basically written a little bit of code that tells you how to do that. So, as you were just explaining to me earlier, let's say you needed to fill out field A, B, C, and D, but you only filled out field A. Well, this will just give you an error message that says, hey, guy, fill in B, C, and D, and then you're good to go. One error message to rule the world, right? Is that what it is?
That's kind of the value here. A lot of the times you may think about like creating a proposal, creating an invoice, right? And there's just certain pieces of data that you need to have in order to move forward. And without making an error list, like you said, you're really going to annoy users, right? Like people, when they see an error, they go in and fix the field, they press the button, they get another error. It's like, why didn't you tell me that the first time? I would have just filled that in too, and then I wouldn't be in this loop. So you're really just making a list saying like, hey, account name and contact name are empty. We can't send this contract. So nothing crazy from like a technical standpoint, right? Like you're really just running some null checks and then adding certain field names to a list. But again, it's just a minor thing that really improves the usability of the system, especially if the button requires a lot of data, right? Because you could imagine like if there's 10, 15 required fields, you might be pressing the button 7 times and getting told one field at a time that needs to be filled in.
Yep. So very nice. And a short little bit of code. Very, very nice. So head on over to Club Z. And if you're not familiar, Club Zenatta, that's our online community. You can go there, talk to other like-minded Zoho users. We've got a general discussion area. This is where Zoho people are just talking about Zoho, asking questions, giving tips, answering questions. We got a little whole code share section like we just talked about. You can go look at all the code share that's there. Things we noticed. People were like, hey, did you ever notice? It's kind of that whole things we noticed is like a Seinfeld episode. You go in there, it's just kind of observational Zoho is what it is. Yep. You can ask questions to us. We'll answer them. We also have all the events that are coming up, our events, Zoho's events, other people's events. We keep track of them all here. So if it's happening in the world of Zoho, odds are we're talking about it over on Club Z. So head on over to club.zenatta.com. All we ask is your email and have fun. It's free. Limited supplies. So get it while it lasts. And with that, let's head over to zenatta.com, our website, and see what's happening over there. You know what's a bummer, Tyler? That's a real bummer besides season 3 of The Bear.
You've got some strong feelings about that season, it sounds like.
You know what else is a bummer? Trying to pick up House of the Dragons after it's been off the air for 3 years and they just drop another season. Man, oh man, without doing a rewatch, that's a little tough.
Yeah, man.
But I tell you what else is a bummer. You've got this beautiful domain, Zenatta.com. Your emails all come from Zenatta.com. And you dust off a mailing list that you've had for a very, very long time, but you haven't sent it out in a very, very long time. And you basically send out that newsletter to all these people who maybe legitimately opted in. I'm going to say you didn't buy this list. I'm going to say this is legit. You have this list, but it's a little old. And you get like a bounce rate of 20% or something like that. Then you know what happens?
Yep.
None of your emails go through. Your entire domain is blacklisted.
Penalty box. Yeah,
you go in the penalty box. You're putting it in a box, and it's very, very, very bad. So what do you want to do? Well, you really want to scrub your lists, especially if they're old lists. You really want to scrub them before you send them out. We use a tool called ClearOut.io to handle almost this entire process for us. You basically give them your entire email list. They run it through, and they say, these are good. These are bogus, right? You never actually want to send an email to info either. Yeah. Right? It should be a person's name. You almost always, for businesses, it's very rare if it's B2B that you want to send it to a Gmail or a Hotmail or anything like that as well. So they're going to go through, they're going to scrub your list. Number one, they're going to tell you if the email's valid or not. That's the most important part. And then they're also going to say, by the way, these fall into these subcategories of various levels of probably not
this is a catch-all inbox. You probably don't need to mail it, right? Like there's some of those other categories outside of just bounce and not bounce that it'll actually tell you.
Correct. So this is a step-by-step guide on how to use it, how to do it. We provide this service for our customers. We buy millions and millions of credits with these guys so that we can just, run our clients' email thread. Because you know what? It's so much easier to do that than it is to have to try to work with the various domain authorities to get a domain
nightmare situation. Once you're in that penalty box, it is a big pain in the butt to get back out of it. One nice thing too is Clara can kind of be used in two ways. And this is the same with like hunter.io. There's a lot of different options. Never Bounce is another popular one.
Yes.
Is that these can be done in mass. So like I'm cleaning up an old list, or they can be done via automation. So you could say, hey, every time a lead is created, make sure that they gave me an appropriate email address. Because one, it could be just a spam lead that came in. Two, they might have a typo, right? Like, and you can give them a call and say like, hey, your email address doesn't look right. What's the right one? Whatever it may be. So two options there. And oftentimes it's a little bit of both. It's like, hey, let's run everything that we already have through. And then let's also set up an automation that will check new stuff or even recheck old stuff. Just to make sure, because some percent of people leave their company every week and, things turn into bounces. So always a good thing to stay on top of before it's a problem. Because once it's a problem...
And the turnover rate's huge. I mean, you normally, if you're sending a newsletter out every single week, you're okay, right?
Yeah.
Send a newsletter out once a month, you're okay as well, but it gets a little dicey because you're surprised at how many emails how many people turn jobs, how many people kill emails, that kind of stuff. You get past if you're sending a newsletter out less frequently than once a month, you almost need to run this every time because it's just crazy. Or you need to have this verification going.
If you're doing like a quarterly update, like you should probably double check that list each time that you do it, just because of that turnover. I've had one recently. I had to put on my like detective hat and figure out what was going on in one client's account. It was one of their clients got married. And they actually redid their email address because it was a first last email address functionality that their client had. And so even someone getting married, well, that old one might turn into a bounce. In this case, I think they had a forwarding rule set up, but you never know. And you want to be safe rather than sorry.
What's not a bummer, Tyler?
It's not a bummer.
Well, the resource library over at Zenatta. So, not only do we have an amazing series of blogs, but we have a resource library where we keep track of every single Zoho app. We tell you our opinions about it. We rate it. And every single resource that we have put together that we've been able to find from other people related to that application is basically in one place. All you need to do is just go through, click on any given application, and everything we've ever done about it, everything you want to know about it, it's all there. All of our videos, our how-tos, our basics, everything, it's there. We also keep track of all the articles we've ever written on it as well. So head on over to Zenatta.com and check out our resource library as well as our blog. All we do is Zoho over here at Zenatta. We don't do anything else. So it's not like you're going to come over to Zenatta and have to wade through Salesforce or HubSpot or any of those other applications. It's just all Zoho all the time. I dream about Zoho, and that's not a bummer. That's a good thing. See, I really enjoy that. Do you have dreams about Zoho?
Occasionally. Yeah, occasionally. I don't know how I'd classify them, dreams or nightmares. It depends on the day, really.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if robots dream of electric Zohos. Interesting. All right, a little obscure reference there. Look it up.
In the old days when we used to pick the show title during the show with something we said, that would have been the show title.
Here you go. All right. And with that, let's head over to the mother of all content for the world of Zoho, our YouTube channel. That's YouTube. Hey, man, you want to work on some criteria statements? Well, we're going to simplify them for you. All right. So Wayne is at it, and he basically is going through building up criteria statements. And what are criteria statements, Tyler? Can you explain that to all of us?
Really, a criteria statement is they're used in a lot of different apps. Oftentimes, it's when you're making some type of filtered list. So like a custom view in CRM would be an example of a criteria statement. In this case, it's all about Zoho campaigns. So the two main ones are segments, how to get people into segments. He shows some useful things here about like if it's like California or this, how you can list those out. Right. And then he also looks at some of the filters and kind of flow controls inside of the workflows themselves. Just so that you can see how to like branch your paths accordingly based on either data about that contact or like email response activity within that workflow.
And then he's going to show you how to kind of set it up inside of marketing automation. Yeah. Yep. And so if you want to, getting it all set up in marketing automation, he's going to show you how to set it up inside a desk and work it all through there as well. And then I'm imagining campaigns. Yes, he's going to set you up through Zoho campaign. So basically setting all of this up. So 11 minutes and 45 seconds of Zoho criteria statements, workflow, and segment criteria with the master of Zoho marketing, Wayne Martin. There it is. Doesn't get any better than that. Where do you find these videos, Tyler?
I think it's over on youtube.com/Zenatta. I've heard good things. Heard very good things about that URL. Yeah, I've heard that the people that run it make about 4 pieces of content a week, all about Zoho and all for free. But that seems too good to be true. So someone must be blowing smoke there.
That's great. And these guys look a lot like us.
Yeah, it's funky. They're ripping off our style here.
There's something going on. It must be AI generated Brett and Tyler's. That's all I'm getting here.
True.
What's going on?
Did have that YouTube comment a while back that asked if I was AI generated. Not yet is the answer.
Yeah. All right. Well, we would actually appreciate it if you would head over to youtube.com/Zenatta and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to click the button, get the notifications, get all that kind of stuff. Smash that button, whatever it is. Smash the bell, do something, get the notifications. Anyway, we're about to hit 19,000 subscribers any day now. Another angel will be getting its wings. So thank everybody for their support. And with that, Tyler, it looks like we have wrapped yet another CRM Zen Show.
Look at that, 317 up and 317 down, or 315. Is
that what we're at? This is 315?
315, yeah.
I said it at the beginning of the show. So 85 to go to 400. My math, we're getting there, cranking along. I'm looking forward. So that will take us to, that's almost 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be 2026 before we get to episode 400, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Time flies.
I think that's it. That's going to be my last episode 400.
It's been a good run.
Let's see what happens. Anyway, hey, everybody, if you would like to reach out to us here at Zenatta so we can help you with your Zoho installation, please head over to Zenatta.com and click on Book a Meeting, and we will be talking to you lickety-split.
On the website is where you'll also find complete episodes of the show, as well as links to all the stories we discussed today. If you want that news delivered to your inbox every Monday morning, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. And last but not least, we always appreciate when you like and subscribe here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. We will see you next Friday. I barely made it through that. I don't know why Lickety Split got me like that, but that threw a wrench into my whole outro.
Who uses that anymore? Anyway, I do, I guess.
You just did, yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Take care.